It is 1:33, and I think we have everybody here. Michelle, for attendance purposes, Representative Stogsdill is excused. We do have one vacancy on the committee because the substitute that was appointed did not get to be here. So I'm just going to go over a couple of things very quickly on what's our plan for today, because turnaround day is always very high pressure. We are going to start with discussion and possible action on 2299, which was the anti-Semitism bill. The calendar was updated to reflect that we will not be hearing the bus arm camera bill. I think it was kind of decided that they wanted more time, and it's something that we'll look at next session. And for those of you who are standing, if you like, we have overflow in this room over here. So if anybody who is standing would like to sit, you can sit in that room, and you will see and hear everything just as if you were here. Totally up to you where you would like to be. But I just like to make sure that people who don't know the building know that that's an option. And the other thing I'd like to do before I get started is to acknowledge one of our former elected officials and one of my favorite Wichita City Council members, LaVonta Williams. So we appreciate you being here today. And I also recognize one of our elders from Wichita, Sandra Rankin. So it's a pleasure to have you both here. All right, so we are going to start with 299, but before we do, next Wednesday, when I have to release the calendar, we're going to shift over to Senate bills. But the challenge in that for me, and I have tried really, really hard to be very transparent with you guys about what is coming, is that I won't know until later this week what bills come out of Senate and which one of those that I would like us to hear. So I want to give you kind of a fair warning that it's really on you to pay attention to which bills pass so that you can start to read them and decide how you feel on them, prepare your questions. But what I do have for you is a list of what bills came out of Senate Education, and I'm going to read through it slowly once and then slowly twice so that you know which bills you might want to put in your radar screen. So the bills that came out of Senate Education, and we don't know if they will come above the line or pass the Senate, but those bills are 44, 45, 47, 75, 48, 49, 50, 76, 87, 114. And I'll go through that list again in case you didn't catch them all. 44, 45, 47, 75, 48, 49, 50, 76, 87, 114. So they have sent out 10 bills, and we put out maybe 5. So you can see that our pace when we come back after turnaround could potentially be very, very quick. And that's why I've just, I really do like to give you a heads up on what bills I'm thinking about and when they're going to come, and you're going to be figuring it out with me. Watch the Senate, prepare yourselves, because we're going to have to move at a faster pace than we have. So the chair would like to open discussion and possible action on HB 2299. Is there discussion? Okay, actually, the chair is going to open with an amendment. I'm sorry. I'm opening with the balloon amendment that I mentioned when we heard the bill that takes care of the drafting error. And I'll let our reviser explain that to you.
not good. It's not good.
Go ahead, Jason.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, if the committee recalls, part of the testimony during the hearing of House Bill 2299 was that the language that was stricken on page 12 of the bill, starting in lines 13, was a error in being stricken, and that language should all be kept in the law rather than be stricken. Since that was the only change being made to that statute, the entire statute is no longer necessary to be in the bill, and that is why you're seeing the strike through on pages 10, 11, and 12. This simply removes the statute from the bill so that it will remain as it currently is in the statute book. So it would be no changes to KSA 44-1009. It would stay as written under current law with this amendment.
So I move my amendment. Is there a second? Representative Steele? And now we can go to questions. Dawn? Representative Wolf, I apologize.
Okay, we've added and between 1004 on that first page 6, but then and is there again after. So do we not need to use and twice?
Jason?
Yes, Madam Chair, members.
And repealing, you want them both in there, yes?
Yes, because we always, in the title, must state what sections are being repealed, what statutes are being repealed. It would read amending KSA 44-1001, 44-1004, and 44-1005, and repealing the existing sections.
Sorry, I missed that line. Appreciate it, thank you.
No, other questions? All right, seeing. Representative Miller, I'll call on you next because I think you didn't want to talk on the amendment. Am I correct? Thank you. Seeing no further discussion on the amendment, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The ayes appear to have it, and the ayes do have it. Representative Miller.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wasn't expecting to be the first one to speak on it, but I wasn't sure if there was any plan by the committee to address the concerns about the definition being used for anti-Semitism. There were some opponent testimonies that expressed that there were better definitions that were broadly used, commonly used for anti-Semitism that were a little bit less restrictive of criticism of state policy and things like that. So I was wondering if there was any sort of amendment already being brought for that.
I am not aware of any amendments, but this, if someone had one, this would be an appropriate time to offer it. Do we have any further discussion, amendments? Okay, seeing none, the chair moves that we pass HB 2299 favorably as amended. Thank you, former chair. Appreciate that. Second from Representative Getz. All those, is there discussion? Representative Ruiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I've been giving this bill a lot of thought. We have two strong sides looking at this, and a lot of opponents that spoke on this issue last time. A little bit of overreach, I think, by the Attorney General to be able to prosecute this. I was kind of hoping that somebody would move the table and we can work on this next year. But it seems like you've got your orders, and we'll be voting on this.
You are free to make any motion that you would like.
At this time, Madam Chair, I'll just let this go and let the will of the body take place.
Okay. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the chair will call the question. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay? No. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. Is there anybody who would like their vote recorded? Representative Miller, no. Representative Ruiz, no. Representative Nguyen, you're pointing up, but I think you mean no. No. And Representative Featherston, no. Anybody that I missed? All right, thank you very much. So we will now move on. That concludes our discussion and possible action on HB 2299. We will now move to a hearing on HB 2330. An interesting thing happened with this bill, and I want to just mention it to the committee. I'm going to revise our conferee rules. We worked on them, and if you go look at them, you'll see that I took out some of the repetitive language on the top, but one thing that never occurred to me is when we have minors come to testify, because so far we have not had minors who weren't with their parents testify, and I just wanted to let you know that moving forward, I would like for any minors who are going to testify or be used in a video or any way at all that there is some kind of a waiver or written permission from their parent or guardian, that is allowed. And the other thing that I'm going to allow is to use the parent or in this case, the teacher's email and contact information. I just am really uncomfortable with the contact information of any minor becoming part of the Open Records Act, especially when these children are on video. So I just want to let you know that's coming in case you do have somebody that you want to have testify in the future that is a minor. I'm going to move to proponent testimony. We actually don't have a lot, so I think we can give a full 5 minutes to each conferee today, which you guys have no idea because sometimes it's 2 minutes. Thank you. I am so sorry. I just don't feel well, and I am goofing up all over the place. Thank you, Representative Hubert. Research, I don't think you have anything for this today. And Jason, if you would like to explain the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. House Bill 2330 would designate a new day of commemoration in the state of Kansas. There are several statutes designating certain days or times of the year for certain commemorations. This bill designates November 14th as Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. The day commemorates the first day Ruby Bridges attended William Franz Elementary School. The bill provides that if November 14th falls on a Saturday or Sunday, then the following Wednesday would be the designated day of commemoration for that particular year. There are a number of facts stated in the preamble to the bill there on page 1. The substance of the designation of the day of commemoration is on page 2, starting on line 5. This would go into effect on July 1st if it's enacted, so the first day of commemoration would be November 14th of this year. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for the reviser? All right, thank you very much, Jason. And now we will move to proponent testimony, and I will call on Stacy Nell, the Executive Director of the Kansas African American Affairs Commission.
Good morning, Chair Estes and members of the committee. I was prepared for 2 minutes, so I am here to talk in support of this bill. I also work with Kansas Black Leadership Council, and we were lucky enough to be able to sponsor having Ruby Bridge come to talk to a large group of people last year. One of the things that I think struck me most about her own personal testimony when she was sharing her story was how when she was 6 years old and she was chosen to participate in this desegregation project, when she was driving into school, being accompanied by marshals, like she didn't quite understand why all these big men were accompanying her, when she turned the corner, she was surprised to see the large crowds of people who were along the sides of the road, to the point that she thought it was Mardi Gras. She couldn't understand why there would be so many people. She thought she was the queen of Mardi Gras that day because she was being accompanied by such powerful people through a large crowd. She really had no idea why people were there. She had no idea why people were yelling at her And she also shared in her own personal story, telling this story about how because the whole first year when she was in school, she was there by herself. Most of the all the white families withdrew their kids and wouldn't have them in school with her. But her teacher stayed. Now, Miss Bridges has written a book, and she has a book, and it's been out, and there's lots of discussion about the book, whether the book should be allowed in schools or in libraries or taken out of schools or in libraries. And when she was talking to the crowd, the thing that struck me most, and the reason why I wanted to come here and do in-person testimony, is that she was afraid that if her book was suppressed, it wasn't necessarily that it was going to suppress Black history, right? There's much discussion about history and how it's discussed. She was equally upset that it was going to suppress the story of her white teacher, that it was going to suppress the story of the people who accompanied her, that by suppressing her story, it wasn't even about white history or Black history, but it was about history, the history of how America became to be what we have now. I'm an American. I was born in America. I love this country. I think telling the full story of history is a way that we can acknowledge how far we've come. It's not about even oppression now, it's about how far we've come. So like I said, I was prepared for 2 minutes. I just would encourage the committee to pass this out favorably so that we can acknowledge the milestone that Ms. Bridges had by being the first young girl to desegregate her school. Thank you. Or I'll be glad to stand for questions if there are any.
Thank you. Thank you, Director Nell. Do we have questions for Director Nell? Okay, you are very clear. They have no questions about anything you said.
That's why I make the big bucks.
Were you? All right, thank you. Then I have a student, Baraka, and I am so sorry. Can you come teach me how to say your last name? Because I know I'm going to get it wrong. Oh, and look at your teacher brought you a stool. I love it. The teacher's getting an A+ from the chair today. Can you please say your name for me so that I can learn it?
Kiza.
Kiza. How did I do?
Kind of good.
I asked and you gave me a respectful answer. You're all good. Is his microphone on? Could we please check? Okay, thank you. Go ahead and begin. We're glad to have you here today. Welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Today, I'm going to be talking about why Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day should be a holiday, a permanent holiday. Because when she was 6 and she went to this all-white school and they would threaten her, do a lot of threats about they would kill her. And yeah, so I attended the Walk to School Day, the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. And after that, I was interested to look at the book. And I read a lot about it. And yeah, I feel good about that.
And is that the end of your testimony? And would you like to take questions?
No.
No? Well, I've got one for you. So I think that you think that Ruby Bridges was brave. Is that how you feel?
Yeah.
And you know what? I think you're very brave because it's hard to get up in front of a bunch of us. So do we have any questions? Representative McNorton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you tell us where you go to school at and what grade you're in, please?
I'm in Rushton, and I'm in 4th grade.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Wynn?
Come back, come back.
You're doing great.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and that was going to be my question. Tell us about the video your classmates made asking Ruby Bridges to come.
It was pretty nervous because we were sending it to Ruby Bridges.
Now, speak up a little bit.
It was pretty nervous at first, but then I felt confident saying the stuff I needed to say to her.
And what kind of experience did you have that day when she came?
When she came, a feeling I had was very happy, basically.
Your other classmates?
Yeah.
Any further questions for our young conferee? All right. Yes, I was just about to say that we will allow clapping for children. The chair recognizes Ariana Garcia Montoya.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And is the button pushed? Thank you. Go ahead.
I am here because I participated in the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. What walking school day is before school we would walk to school to honor Ruby Bridges because she was very brave to go to the school to get her education and to stop segregation. I also think it should be a holiday because kids all over the world would be inspired by her. So it would be yeah. It would be supporting her because she was going through all that bullying. So that's why I think.
Is that the end of your testimony? All right, thank you. And would you like to stand for questions? Okay, I love it. I think you have a little Ruby Bridges in you, and that's a compliment. Any questions for our young conferee, Representative Brantley?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for coming today. What grade are you in?
Fourth grade.
Fourth grade. And did you, are all your classmates watching back at school?
No.
So you can access this video and show it to your class, so remember that. Thank you for coming.
Any other questions for our conferee, Representative Featherston?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Do you know, did you kids happen to bring the video that you made?
Yeah, I believe so.
Video is not in the rules, and I was also uncomfortable making without parents signing off to give permission. So that's something I think somebody could ask them about privately because I could tell they worked hard on it.
That's fair. We all have homework now.
Very good. So I do have a question for you. Are you getting extra credit in civics today?
I'm not sure.
Well, that's a word, civics, that we don't use like we used to, and we should. And so it's sort of like learning about history and government and how they work together. And you guys have a teacher who took the time to help you do that in person. So thank you very much for being here. You're off the I usually say hot seat, but I'm going to say stool today.
Thank you for your time.
As far as I am aware, that is the end of my proponent testimony. That is in person. That's the school they go to. All right, seeing none, you have a lot of written proponent testimony. You have no neutral testimony, no opponent in person, and no opponent written, unless I've missed anything. And this is your last call to say you missed me. Okay, today is turnaround day, which means that if you guys, I usually try to give you time between a bill so that if people have amendments or changes they want to make, and I suspect that today is a day that you guys probably feel you don't need that. So if you want to have discussion and possible action on the bill, we can enter that. Representative Reese.
Madam Chair, I would like to declare an emergency be made and that the Ruby Bridges HB 2330 be brought up for emergency action.
Is there a second? Second from Representative Nguyen. Any discussion? Representative Ruiz.
Madam Chair and committee, Frank Russian Grade School is in my district, and I did walk along with them on Ruby Bridges that day. And it was really fascinating because they met us at the opening of the school day at the front door. The teachers, the principal, gave us coffee, gave us beer. No beer. But as we walked along the road to Mission Road and then to the north and then down the hill, I don't know if you're familiar with the Kansas City, Kansas area, but we picked up groups on the way. And they had us all routed out and came back. It was really pretty fascinating. And one of the groups, a real little girl came and grabbed my hand and took me walking with her. And I thought that was pretty neat for a little girl. I'm a stranger, you know, and it was something, Madam Chair and committee, that I think when we expand this, I think it'll be really well rewarded to people that participate. And so,
Okay, so the question at hand is, shall we take emergency action? And then we can get into discussion. Any discussion on emergency action? Representative Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and because this is the last day, and respectfully understand that you just received it, so, but that the bill does just designate a day, and that it is consistent with, I don't want to get over into the discussion area, but it is consistent with other practices that we have.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of declaring emergency action and entering discussion and final action on the bill, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, the ayes appear to have it, and the ayes do have it. We will enter discussion of the bill. And do we have discussion? Representative Nguyen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not to belabor this, but we had over 1,000 students come to the event at Washburn when Ruby Bridges did attend, and that why I was asking the Frank Rushton kids about their video, she, in essence, said, the children have to ask me. And I'm doing this for the children. And to add, she thought they kept telling her she was so smart, she said, she must be going to college. And of course, the audience chuckled, but that they were able to then meet her personally, and she interacted with hundreds of kids during that period. So this just designates the day. Also, it allows schools to do whatever they feel is appropriate, reading books, writing stories, doing whatever they feel is appropriate. So it's not mandating anything, but it's just saying, here's an experience of education, and that students, schools, if they choose to acknowledge, then they have that opportunity. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Any further discussion? I think I saw you. I didn't know if you were moving your hand or flagging. Okay, Representative Featherston, and then McNorton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm all flustered. I just have to say my teacher heart is so full, and I'm so proud of these kids. And now I'm getting like teacher verklempt, but I'm so proud of these kids for bringing this forward, for having this day. The kids in my neighborhood partnered with their PTA and the Johnson County Library, and the book was blown up, and there was a walk through our local park, and it was really nice, and all the kids came down and saw it. And, you know, there's a lot of division in this world, there's a lot of division in this building, but this is our chance to just do something good, to acknowledge someone who did something good, and to really acknowledge the efforts of these children that have been here today. And I apologize for my teacher heart, but I will strongly support this bill.
Representative McNorton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Ruby Bridges is quite the story, obviously, going through what she did and have her parents. I've watched the shows and the movies about it, but we've had resolutions about this last year. There's a lot of school districts that this is not very feasible. So I personally think we need to leave this up to a local control. Each school district can do what they want. And so I just don't think we need a law put in place to do this. We're already doing it. We have resolutions that say it. The local school boards can do what they want, depending on if it's feasible or if they want to or not. I just don't think we need to pass a law to make this the statute. So that's where I'm standing. I'm probably not going to vote for this because of that.
Any further discussion? Representative Nguyen.
Could I have Jason, I know there's a Native American Day. Could you list those designated days that are similar to this day of commemoration that we already have passed. And I'm asking him to do that in response to your comments, Representative. Again, school boards can do anything they want to do or nothing. And they can do that on any day of the year. But this is an acknowledgement that it is, as I said, consistent with, and I'm not going to say because you're new, but I'm saying maybe you're not familiar with past actions. So this is not inconsistent. This is consistent. This is clear. It does not set, I mean, the children are talking about a holiday. No, it doesn't set a holiday. So you don't want to have that fear. But Jason, do you have, I mean, how many do we have? 13, 14, 15, 20, 30?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, there is a Native American Day. There is a Pearl Harbor Remembrance Day. There is a Dwight D. Eisenhower Day and a National Day of the Cowboy. There's also a General Pulaski's Memorial Day.
A what? General who?
Pulaski's.
Okay, right. Is that it? That you can find right now? Right now. So it's you know, I respect your decision, but I would ask that the other members of the committee recognize that this is not something that is difficult for you to agree to. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Representative Pishney. And then Schmoy.
Well, first of all, Madam Chair, thank you for allowing me to speak, and I very much appreciate the intent and the motivation for bringing this bill to us, and I absolutely respect and appreciate the students who were with us today and the courage that they had and the courage of Ruby as well. My thoughts and questions were around the lines of what Representative Wynn and McNorton were talking about, and I'm having difficulty with the bill, not because it's allowing another holiday, and I understand what you're saying, Representative, about the it's not a mandate for a holiday, it's a recognition of a person, and schools can do what they want. But how many more are going to be forthcoming is my concern. If we have another one and then next year there's another one, and where does it start and stop? Because I don't feel like we've had any parameters set as far as what the guidelines would be for designating a specific day. Not this person, but what about the next person? So I'm struggling on whether to vote yea or nay on the bill, not because I'm against recognizing this person and in acknowledgement of the things that have been said, but what door does it open to unexpected things going forward is my consideration.
Representative Schmoy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I should have asked this during proponent testimony. If somebody would have the answer, if we have an estimate on how many schools are already recognizing this?
We're in the discussion and hearing, and I'm not sure that anybody would have the answer to that question. Frank, would you have the answer to that question? Okay. And I'm sorry, I meant to call you Dr. Harwood. And he is, you guys, I feel so miserable. I'm sorry. If Dr. Harwood doesn't know, Leah, do you happen to know from the school boards? Okay.
Chair?
Representative Wynn, do you know?
Enough for them to participate. If you, Madam Chair, can I respond to Representative's comment? You know, and I'm not chuckling, but I'm chuckling because respectfully, we come down to the well and ask for license plates. We ask for bridges. We ask for, and some say, when is this going to stop? It's going to stop when we run out of people that some feel is important enough to recognize. You know, the Pearl Harbor, the National Day of the Cowboy seems a little stupid, but still, you know, you weren't here. I don't remember if I voted for it or not, but still, respectfully, I suggest that you know, it's unfortunate that you're having problems with that approach, because in this body, we pass legislation on thousands of topics. So if you're going to be here a while, there's going to be thousands of topics that we may have a National Day commemoration. So that doesn't relieve your concern. That doesn't leave your feeling of uneasiness, but it's the reality of a legislative body that makes laws. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Also, I like to be careful about how we speak, and so you may not enjoy the National Day of the Cowboy, but I will say it's an important industry, and we actually have several world title holders of NFR. So I just want to throw a little positive something there for the
Cowboys.
For the Cowboys. Don't want anyone to feel slighted. And Representative Chamoy, you had the floor, and we got you an answer, so I'm going to come back to you now.
Thank you so much, Madam Chair. First and foremost, thank you. Thank you so much for honoring someone who absolutely deserves to be honored, for learning about it and then taking that extra step in teaching others. That's missing a lot in education and just going forward in adult life today. It's imperative that we do that. I love that we are already recognizing this. I love that we recognized it with a resolution last year. I love that, and I think it is so important. And I also, at the same time, feel like this is redundant, and it's just one more thing that we're adding that is already being done. And I commend those who are already in participation on this. Thank you.
Representative Steele.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much for being here today, conferees. I come from a very, very rural district, and I've got students on buses for 45 plus minutes to an hour to get to and from school. And I guess I'm concerned that if there's only 7 counties participating, that means that there's 98 that aren't. And so if there's a resolution that was already there for that, I'm going to have to agree with the representative that just spoke that this would be redundant. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Any further discussion?
Go ahead.
For the second time, Representative Featherston.
I have a question for Mr. Long.
You may proceed.
Was the resolution for just one specific day, or was it in perpetuity? Sorry.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I don't remember the precise language from the resolution. Typically, they are to designate one proclamation. This would create a new statute that would declare every November 14th to be Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day.
Thank you, Revisor Long. Any further discussion? Representative Nguyen.
You know, I appreciate the comments, and it's almost saying if first resolutions are for 1 year only, and so this ties to Kansas being the home of Brown versus Board as well. And if you note the legislation, it does say that Kansas at the epicenter of the the landmark U.S. Supreme Court Brown versus Board. It's almost like saying, you know, recognizing that is redundant. And I know that's not what you want to your legacy to be, but that this resolution, it says here, and it was passed. You did have 7 counties. You had 10 more remote live stream across the state. I'm a little unsure about where the bus ride came from. Representative, I don't see the connection here, but it is just designating a day of dialogue, and that it is consistent with other past practices. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Representative Schreiber?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My town, my district was one of the counties that participated in this, and the feedback from the superintendent and the teachers was overwhelming to me. When I first heard about it, I wasn't quite sure how it would be implemented with the district, but they embraced it, and they're looking forward to do it again. So I stand in support of this legislation. Thank you.
Representative McNorton?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So just to follow up on a couple things that I've heard here, you know, we do have Black History Month. We have Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Are we going to do a day for Brown v. Board, a special something on that day? I just think, going back to my previous representative over here, where's the end? We're already doing this, and I just think we need to leave it up to the local school boards. If they want to participate, great. If not, but I just don't think we need a law and statute the way this is written. So again, I just can't support it because of those reasons. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Representative Hill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I think we are very blessed in Kansas to have the history that we do. And the parts of history that are recognized throughout our state, most of us that are into history understand that Kansas is where the Civil War really started. And we understand that the civil rights movement had great strength in Kansas, and I am proud that Topeka has Brown versus Board of Education that made a statement about how children will be treated in schools. We have, in the legislature, we have a number of ways that we recognize and honor. Some of us get tired of voting on license plates and bridges and roads, etc. But I think a day of commemoration, and if we look at the list that was put forth, and I don't say this because of where I live, but I think there is only one person named in a day of commemoration in our state. And this is something that is a big deal. And I don't think that we should take it lightly to decide on days of commemoration. I think we need to have a sense of awe and wonder sometimes. And so some people have talked about where does this end? And I think what's really being said is, where does this start? You know, how often are we going to recognize individuals in the state? And I look back to how Veterans Day started and how Valentine's Day started. It was started because it became so popular and so many people were recognizing it that it became a national movement. And I think the same could be said about the state, is that if 5 years from now we come back here and we have 100 different counties in the state that are recognizing the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, then I think there's going to be unanimous support for recognizing that day. I think this is premature at this point in time, and I will not be supporting it today, in spite of the fact that I strongly support the history that we have in our state. Thank you.
Further discussion, Representative Ruiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we could debate this all day. Different people, different ways, different views. I've been here a while. Like a representative says, we have voted on a lot of things. We have Don't Tread on Me, license plates. We have all kinds of different things. Madam Chair, I call the question.
We actually we didn't have a motion. Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I'd like to make the motion.
Is there a second? Representative Schreiber. Discussion on the question. Representative Hubert.
I wasn't here last year. It sounds like, based on what I'm hearing, what happened last year and what it looks like is going to continue to happen this year, that it will continue to happen irregardless of what happens on this vote. And I celebrate the fact that for those who want and are in school districts that are doing this, that they will continue to do it. And like somebody said, it could continue to grow. So I don't think this bill is necessary in order to keep it from continuing to happen. Nothing in this would stop it from happening in the future, and I appreciate all those that will continue to do that. And so I just thought, even now for me, it's not a binary question. To me, it's let's celebrate what's happened and continue to allow that to happen without making this a binary question. To you.
Is there any other discussion? If not, we'll call the question. Representative Nguyen.
Just to comment on the representative, we passed legislation that did commemorate Brown versus Board in the mural on the wall on the 3rd floor. So legislation was passed for that, as well as your students from Seaman participate in the video. So apparently you didn't, perhaps, not apparently, perhaps you didn't know that, but they also participated. So thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome. Representative Chauncey.
Just real quick, I'd like to touch on, Jason, you said the Day of the Cowboy was a holiday here in the state.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, yes, the 4th Saturday in July of each year is designated as the National Day of the Cowboy in the state of Kansas.
Okay, just quickly to touch on it, I think that touches all different ethnicities and nationalities, and I actually think that some of the events in the rodeo were actually invented by some, I believe the Bulldog was invented by Bill Pickett, which was an affluent African-American cowboy, and so I don't understand the objection to the Day of the Cowboy, but I would like to say that, I mean, there are days that recognize all different nationalities here, and I'm in agreement with a lot of my colleagues. I don't know that we need to add an additional day of recognition to a calendar, so I don't feel that at this current time I can support this. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Representative Featherston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My teacher heart is back pulled together. For those of you who are against this because it's just one more day to honor, like, how ridiculous. Wouldn't it be fabulous if we had something spectacular in Kansas history to honor every single day of the year? It doesn't mean we have to have a parade. It doesn't mean you have to walk to school. I know my PTA in our district has walk to school, bike to school day. The kids that live too far, their parents drop them off on my street and they walk all together. This could be however a district wants to do it. And if you are so inclined to vote against this, then I will be really excited tomorrow to see when you vote against the highway, the bridges that'll be coming up, and the National Burn Awareness Week, which all made it through the floor today. So if Ruby Bridges, our actual history from Topeka, is too much, then I hope you all make note of that in your voting record so that you can be consistent in the future.
Representative Schreiber, did you have your hand up? Or did I miss, oh, I'm sorry, Representative Schlingenspies, and I'm so hope I said that right.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry, I was late to the meeting. My previous commitment was not on the calendar, and so I apologize for that. I got out as soon as I could. Could somebody fill me in on what we're talking about here today? I'm sorry, that's a joke. All right. You know, I hope that as we think about questions like these, we realize that there are a lot of people in our communities right now who I think need to hear that they are valued members. And right now they're not hearing a lot of that on the national scene, quite the opposite. You know, what we're hearing on the federal level is we need to dial back civil rights. That's the rhetoric we're hearing. I don't know what news sources you're all watching, but it's out there. And there are lots of other ways in which this is going on. I think we in Kansas, and it was pointed to by the representative sitting across from me, have a brilliant history in this regard. My own congregation came here for one purpose and one purpose only, and that was to fight for a plantation-free state. We started Washburn University and Wichita State, both universities open to African Americans and women from day one. Congregationalists in the state have been very concerned about inclusivity from the very, very beginning and continue to be very much in favor of that. And so I don't think it's going to cost us very much to send a signal here that in Kansas we do value our diverse historic traditions. Saying no to this really serves no purpose. Saying yes would serve a great purpose and send a signal to many people. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, the chair calls the question. Those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. No. The nays appear to have it. Division has been requested. Will the yays please raise your hand? Nays, please raise your hand. And 11 nays. The motion fails to carry. But I think we had an important discussion, and I'm proud of us for the way that we had the discussion. And I am going to let you out of here for the earliest I've ever let you out of here. We are adjourned.